Welcome to Intuitive Seek. My name is Mary Train, and as an intuitive guide, energy healer, and meditation teacher, I aim to bring you a grounded approach to all things energy and intuition. Everything I share is with the hope to help you remember how your unique power of intuition is your own greatest teacher. Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to your intuitive week, your energy update for the week of March 16th. And just a quick thank you to everyone who reached out about my partner being in the hospital. He is home now and still working with a specialist, but yes, much, much better and more, at least more information than we had. And it is actually his birthday at the start of this week. His birthday is on the 16th, a triple Pisces. So, yes, I'm very glad that he's home. And before we dive into the energy update, I just wanted to share that in April, which is remarkable that we are coming up to April already. But in April, I do have 2 spots opening for the key, my 4-month journey of one-on-one healing and transformation. These 2 spots are for an April start. And this is a one-on-one journey where transformation truly happens. There is a connection that occurs, a remembering. And if you have heard me speak about it before and you've been curious about it, I have all of the links in the show notes for you to connect with me if you have any questions. And if this really feels like a pull for you to receive this kind of intuitive and energetic support, there is a connection form that you can fill out, and all the info is there in the show notes. And I wanted to share a quick testimonial that does offer more insight around what this journey could look like for you. It is different for everyone because we are each so unique. And I wanted to share this testimonial from a client who worked with me through this journey, and it may offer a bit more insight about what you could expect. So, from this client, the work we did together was the key that unlocked something. I finally feel like I'm home. Today, I finally feel like myself. It's the first day. I'm 39 and I finally just got here. It's a hell of a feeling. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude for the future and gratitude for today, and I did not expect this at all. I wanted to be completely open to it, but I am skeptical, and I know that this actually works. And I am so grateful for this testimonial, and I feel like it does speak to a very similar impact that I hear from my clients that I do move through the key with. And they even said themselves, the key unlocked something that helped her feel at home. So if there is something that you are looking to unlock, the whole beautiful part about the key is that you are the key. And I help to facilitate your remembering of everything you need to know to open everything that you were seeking because it's within you. So, yes, go to the show notes if you're curious, fill out the connection form, or send me a message through the contact form. And yes, the spots do get filled. So, if you are curious, reach out because it may be time for you to begin in April. I always trust that the spots are filled by the ones that are meant to fill them. So, if that is you, I can't wait to meet you. All right, so let's dive into the energy update, your intuitive week for the week of March 16th. And this is everything that I received in the deep meditation that I go into, always with the intention to receive guidance, insight, anything that I can translate with the most clarity through my intuition for us, for you and I, to navigate through the week with more intention, with more insight, and to know where the opportunities are and where there may be challenges. So, as you listen, use it as a way to develop your intuition, to trust what resonates and trust what doesn't. Equally important to know what doesn't resonate with you as much as what does. So I'll share what came through in the meditation, and then I will share the animal that came through, and then some intuitive questions, writing prompts, journal prompts, ways for you to dive a bit deeper into the energy. Okay, so when I first opened up the meditation, the person in the meditation that represents you and I, we were wearing a very heavy quilted jacket, and we were trying to take it off, but it was very heavy. And it took a lot of effort. It took a lot of effort to let it go. We were taking it off and then it was kind of getting caught in our arms. But once it was off, it landed on the ground next to us and it became almost like a fertilizer. It went into the ground, kind of melted, disintegrated quickly, and then little buds popped up out of the ground. So a very strong seeing. And this feels like a message that for this week, there is something that we need to let go of, something heavy, something that we wear to let go of, perhaps some burdens or pressure, maybe even literal heaviness in your life, maybe some hair, maybe clothes you need to go through, maybe old stuff that you just don't use anymore, maybe clearing out your bag. This week it feels like it's time to let go of something that feels, at least energetically, like it is in the way of new life growing, something new coming in, ready to sprout. So, as I was describing, taking off that heavy jacket, not being easy to remove, but giving the sustenance to the new life that's ready to grow. Is there anything that connects to for you? Where did your mind go? What was it? What is that pressure, that burden? What do you wear that you don't need any longer? Metaphorically or literally, this is the week for it. And then the next thing that came through in the meditation was as soon as that heavy coat was gone and those little buds sprouted and the growth was happening, there was silence. And the words, allow silence, came through. So it feels like for this time, we could find what we need, what we feel like we are missing, some clarity, something that maybe that heaviness, once we let go of, was hiding. We could find that in the silence, in silence that maybe we haven't had a chance to offer ourselves. Once we release what we need to, once we let go, sometimes, sometimes we try to rush in and fill that space. And energetically, trust that your vital energy already fills that space naturally. It's never empty. And maybe that's what the silence is for. Because you could envision and really intend to see and fill that space with strengthened, beautiful light of your energy, adding a colorful intention, like really bringing your vital energy to that space. But trust that your energy does fill it up. And maybe that's why we need to allow the silence for us to be able to feel and connect with ourselves and our energy, to feel where and who we are once the weight of the things that we don't need are finally released. So, what needs to be released? What do you need to let go of to allow more silence, to allow yourself to reconnect, for us to be able to feel to feel where and who we are. And as I say that and kind of repeat a few things, I am reminded of the equinox or the equinox, however you pronounce it, at the end of the week, the turning point of the year. This is a big turning point, bringing spring in the northern hemisphere where I am, and then also coming out of summer and going into autumn for those of you in the southern hemisphere. Spring cleaning and autumn kind of rituals, they both have themes of clearing, letting go, releasing, and allowing. So, allowing the silence is a big part of this shift in the season. And allow is an interesting word too, because to me, it feels like if we're needing to be reminded to allow, that means that the silence is an invitation. It's wanting to be given. But if we're needing to allow it, then there could be resistance to the silence. And it's never a vacuum of silence. You don't go into deep space. There will always be noise, whether that's in your mind or in the world around you, but allowing as much silence as possible, connecting to why you're resisting it. Resistance to what you might feel like in that silence, to not fill the space with noise or thoughts or ideas or observations or to do lists or music or podcasts, right? Like if this is a line of podcasts that you're listening to, maybe give yourself a bit of a podcast break for a little bit. Like, how can you allow more silence this week? So, a week of moving into this turning point of the year, moving into spring or autumn, wherever you are, removing and letting go, allowing silence. And that also connects to the beginning of the week. Because on Wednesday, we have the new moon. So there is also a new moon cycle starting. The first new moon that isn't an eclipse after a few eclipses. So real shifts in energy. So having that silence in the dark moon, letting go before that new moon so you can really work with the cycles, letting go before the equinox. How can you work with the cycles? One of the ways is to allow silence so that you can feel and trust your intuition to know what you need to do, what feels best, to see what this unseen weather, astrological, seasonal, and spiritual weather around us is supporting. And then the next thing that came through were pine needles. So a bunch of pine needles on our path. Not a bunch of pine trees, but specifically the pine needles. And this felt right away like, okay, this is part of the clearing, the letting go. The needles that have fallen off of the trees, here they are. More imagery about releasing, letting go, moving on, making space. Because it's not only a turning of the seasons, it's a turning of the astrological new year. We're going into the first sign of the zodiac, back to the 12th house wheel of the year. And the first sign of the zodiac is Aries. So we're moving into Aries season. And with these pine needles, the pine does feel very fiery, it feels very warm, but it is so connected to the energies of strength and purification and protection and releasing negative energy. I found on MeyerNikkiKitchen.com that the pine tree has been greatly revered throughout history for its strong healing powers. Even Hildegard von Bingen, who is Saint Hildegard, she wrote about the pine. The pine tree is more warm than cold and contains many energies and powers. The tree of pine is the symbol of strength. Celtic and German ancestors believed that the pine tree was a source of protection from negative energies. Pine was burned in rooms for sick people to strengthen the healing process. And according to many older herbal books, pine strengthens the nerves and gives energy, courage, and emotional strength. And just a bit more about the pine needle. And this is more of a spiritual focus, so the pine spirit. Pine embodies the paradox of strength and softness, a living reminder that resilience need not be rigid. Resilience without arrogance. Pine does not rush or dazzle. It holds its green dignity through blizzard and drought, quietly reaching skyward without overshadowing its neighbors. It teaches us to stand tall with ease, not armor. Strong yet permeable. Dignified but never proud. When sorrow clogs the chest, pine's medicine is a deep inhale of fresh air. Its spirit clears the lungs and the unseen places where grief pools. Each breath becomes a gentle current, lifting heaviness so it can transform rather than stagnate. Every needle, every drop of resin, is a page from an ancient book of breath. Pine remembers the wind that carried our ancestors' prayers. To work with pine is to step into a lineage older than language, a quiet communion with the memory of the land itself. In its stillness and scent, pine offers a steady companionship. It does not rush your healing, but holds space for it, inviting you to breathe, to root, and to rise. Isn't that such a beautiful overview of pine and pine needles? And that again is meyernikkikitchen.com. A lot of herbal and magical interest and insight on her page. And one more part of the pine with the pine needle was a pine cone. And then I thought of, the pineal gland. And the chakra or energy center that's associated with the pineal gland is our third eye. So the sixth one. And it's believed to be linked to perception and awareness and our spiritual communication and our intuitive vision. But I did want to mention it because what I was reminded of when I was feeling into the details of this meditation and with the pine is that if you have been trying to activate your third eye or working with your pineal gland, there has been over the years a lot more kind of popular interest in that, right? That you see on social media in kind of short form video. But I wanted to offer my view that I don't feel that you have to worry about working with or focusing too hard on what's happening with your third eye or your pineal gland. That you can do a lot of spiritual opening and journeying and discovering, that you can be connecting to the unseen with your intuitive vision and really doing so much in the spiritual realms. But you can do all of that, but still not embodying everything that you are discovering or connecting with. Because your energy stays there, stays up and out. Expanded consciousness is not where you want to end. That is a starting point, in my opinion. You want to be able to embody that by focusing on grounding, by working with your energy, by going within, by learning how to trust your intuition, by opening up to your intuitive senses, by doing all of those things, but specifically integrating and grounding your energy. Then your third eye, your sixth chakra, is impacted naturally. And then you actually get to start working with it and using it, receiving the wisdom and the knowledge, not only up and out, but in your physical reality too. It reminds me of, for instance, like a certain person out in the spiritual world that does a lot of spiritual practice, that they feel too open, that it's just too hard, that they wish they could just be in that liminal, unseen, connected space all the time. Because if we don't work with staying grounded and embodied, feeling safe and secure, like allowing that integration time, not always reaching for, but being, so that you can learn how to trust your intuition and see the signs and symbols on your path and bring them into your daily life, then we might be going into all of the spiritual work and development with misguided intentions, intentions to escape rather than to meet the world. Because, yes, there are times, of course, when we all feel more sensitive, more open, and it's like, okay, this is a time to hermit a bit. This is a time to be home. This is a time where I need to protect myself a bit more because I'm feeling XYZ. But if you're feeling like that all of the time, and it feels like you want to escape into meditation, into all of the spiritual realms, to me, that's a clear sign that your energy is begging to be grounded because there's no place to land. So use any of those inklings of, oh, I wish I could just stay there. Use that as a sign to learn what it feels like to be grounded, as a sign to learn how to connect to the energy of your heart, to know what silence and stillness feels like inside of you, to know how your intuition speaks to you and how you can really feel that trust in your intuition more deeply, how you can feel grounded and secure and embodied even when the world around you is not feeling that way. So I did want to, yeah, just share that because I was reminded of that from the pine needles. And yes, if you have any questions about that, just reach out. But if you're listening to this podcast, I do feel like grounding is a focus for you or something you've at least heard of before and how deeply important it is. And then going back to the meditation, the next thing that came through for this week was the animal. So, pretty clear messages around what to focus on and the challenges of this week. But then the animal came through. And the animal that came through was a new one again. So, even though it's only the third week of March, this year we've had many new animals, ones that have never come through in a meditation before, ones that I have to add to my oracle journal because they are beautiful and they have incredible symbolism. And that just shows me another sign that this year the energy is different. And that shows me that this is a very different year with new animals coming through. That's one big signal. And what was the animal? It was the anteater. Another, like, out of the blue animal on our path. And in the meditation, it very clearly came up and started eating out of our left hand. And that's how I knew it was an anteater because of the snout. Now, I didn't see any ants in our hand, but because it was an anteater for sure, I assumed that's what the anteater was eating. And out of our left hand, so this felt like a message first before we get into the animal. The action of the animal felt like what we were holding in our left, the hand that we use to open and receive, they were helping to clear. And if there are metaphorical ants in our left hand, maybe there are things in our life that are ant like. So, what does that mean? I felt like that meant maybe what we need to let go of and release, that heavy coat, could feel like an ant in the way that it causes a lot of extra work. It makes things harder. It creates a lot of challenges and obstacles that we don't need, unnecessary. Ants help to build colonies and they grow very fast. So this feels like the anteater is helping us to clear away what we need to let go of out of our left, out of where we want to receive, and move maybe that energy to our action, to allow it to move. So making space in our left for action that needs to happen so that we can receive. So it feels like this beautiful anteater is helping us this week to discern what we need to let go of that are causing or that is causing extra unnecessary workloads, unnecessary challenges, obstacles, like what feels too big to tackle. Maybe you don't have to. Can you just let it go? The anteater energy is saying, hey, let me help you. Let go of that. You will have so much more space to receive what you need and maybe what you thought you would get through that big thing, but it's not for you anymore to hold or carry. And they also have very long noses. And our nose is connected to, again, the sixth energy center, the third eye. So another nod to getting grounded because anteaters are literally like digging through the ground and our third eye. So I thought that was a cool connection too. And now let me share more about the symbolism, the themes that the anteater energy symbolizes. And as I share, just really trust where some of these themes connect for you and what you may need to focus on for this week. But I do love how it connects to kind of everything else that we've talked about already. So the anteater energy symbolizes solitude, patience, focus, intuitive psychic ability, self worth, opportunity, staying grounded, determination, independence, signs, divine guidance, and following your purpose. And there is also, when I was looking up the anteater, there's this beautiful Oaxacan painter from Mexico, Sergio Hernandez, and he has beautiful paintings, but an anteater features prominently in a lot of his work. And this is from a feature on him in Pisces.com. And he says that the anteater, it is my tona, which is a concept similar to a totem. And he says, it is my tona, protecting me in transit through this underworld that is the 21st century. It is a work of gratitude dedicated to my Nawal, which is the protective animal spirit named for kind of pre-Hispanic Mesoamerican societies. And he says that in exchange for this protection, he dresses them in mineral blue and barite green, two colors he believes are among the animal's favorites. And I thought that was so inspiring for him to call this beautiful animal of his protection as he moves through the underworld that is the 21st century. Because what a perfect way to describe what we are moving through. Quite the underworld. So maybe that's how that anteater energy is feeling to you as well. And maybe that's staying grounded and following your purpose and looking for the signs and really connecting with your psychic and intuitive abilities, but staying on the earth and grounded is part of that protection that we need when we are opening up and developing all of these beautiful abilities that we naturally have. And is that protection from negative entities or spirits? Maybe. But I also think of it more as protection from our own ego, protection from confusion and sabotage and fear and doubt and judgment and lies that we tell ourselves. So thank you to, this beautiful painter, Sergio Hernandez. And I'll put a link in the show notes for the article that I saw. I really recommend you read it and look at his paintings. Just absolutely gorgeous. And let me share some soul questions, some writing prompts, journal prompts, and answer one or none. Just really trust what you feel called and connected to. So the first question could be, what are you ready to let go of or finally say goodbye to this week? Connect to that feeling of the heavy coat, finally getting it off. What does that feel like connects to in your life? And what are you ready to release? And number two, how can you allow more silence in your daily life? And number three, describe how it feels to be grounded, embodied, and anchored in your energy first. So, describe how it feels to be grounded, embodied, and anchored in your energy. And then, how can this insight help you now? Maybe telling you what you may need more of and what you could use less of. And then the fourth is to set intentions for this new year, this astrological new year, and for the new moon. So, setting the intentions for the new moon kind of anytime this week. What intentions can you set and commit to tending for the next month or 6 months? Begin your intentions with, I am so grateful to receive or create, and then write in what you desire to create or experience and receive. And that brings us to the end of this episode for the week of March 16th. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, please reach out. I love to hear from you about the energy. If you resonated or if you have any other thoughts or questions, go to the show notes. All the links are there. Thank you to everyone who has been reaching out. I really appreciate it. It's so lovely to connect with everyone. And yes, if you're curious about all of the things that I mentioned, especially if one of those two spaces for the key in April is for you, go to the links in the show notes. Everything is there. And hugely appreciated if you subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcasts. And if you feel called, you could share this episode with a friend that might enjoy it, or even leave a review. That's so helpful. So thank you again. Be extra kind to yourself and others, and I will talk to you next week.
Hi, Auntie Mary. I just wanted to say something very, very